Have you ever wondered why certain connections leave a mark on your soul long after words have faded? Why some encounters stir something inside you that feels older than memory, deeper than desire? What if true love is not what we are taught to chase, but something that reveals itself in silence, in freedom, and in the hidden mirror of the soul? Love as a mirror of the soul is one of the deepest truths of human connection. When we speak of true love, we are not speaking of the surface-level attraction that comes and goes with time or circumstance. Attraction can be powerful, but it often fades when tested by silence, distance, or difficulty. True love, however, penetrates deeper. It reveals to us aspects of ourselves that we could not see alone. In this way, the one we love becomes not just a companion, but a mirror, reflecting our inner life back to us in ways both beautiful and challenging. When you encounter someone who touches you in this way, it often feels inexplicable. There is a recognition that transcends logic, a sense that something within you has been awakened. You may find that you are drawn to them not only because of what they appear to be outwardly, but because of what they stir within you. Their presence calls forth emotions, memories, and longings that you may have buried or ignored. Suddenly, you are confronted with your own depths. Sometimes it feels intoxicating, as though you are meeting a part of yourself you had been missing. Other times it can feel unsettling, for the mirror does not always show what you want to see. This is why true love is often misunderstood. People expect it to always feel light and effortless, but in reality, it carries a weight. To truly see yourself through another person is not always easy. Love can expose your insecurities, your hidden fears, your unhealed wounds. When the beloved reflects these back to you, you may feel resistance, even pain, but this very confrontation is the path to growth. Love does not simply affirm the pleasant parts of you, it also reveals the shadow, the places you hide from yourself. Only through such reflection can you begin to integrate these hidden aspects and become more whole. The beloved in this sense is not merely a partner, but also a guide. Their role is not to complete you, for you are already complete, but to awaken in you a greater awareness of your own depths. Through them, you discover your capacity for tenderness, patience, vulnerability, and courage. You also discover the limits of your endurance, the edge of your pride, and the fragility of your defenses. Love pushes you beyond the comfortable self-image you maintain in the world. It strips away pretense and brings you closer to what is essential. This is why true love is rarely superficial. It does not survive on charm, appearance, or performance alone. These things may attract, but they cannot sustain. The mirror that true love provides is far too powerful to be based on such fragile foundations. It demands honesty, presence, and a willingness to see not just the idealized image of the beloved, but also their humanity, their flaws, their contradictions, and in seeing them as they are, you are challenged to see yourself with the same clarity. This mutual recognition creates a bond that cannot easily be broken, for it is rooted not in illusion, but in reality. The experience of being mirrored in love is also what awakens a sense of destiny. Many describe it as though they were meant to find this person, as if life itself conspired to bring them together. This feeling arises not necessarily because of external circumstances, but because the internal impact is so profound. When another person reflects your soul, it feels like a homecoming. You are no longer wandering in your own depths alone. Someone else now stands with you in that inner landscape. Their presence validates the unseen parts of you, giving shape and voice to what you had long felt but could not articulate. Yet it is important to remember that the mirror of love is not always flattering. There are moments when it reveals impatience, selfishness, or fragility. If you are brave enough to remain in such love, You will find that these revelations are not punishments, but opportunities. They are the invitations of love itself, calling you to grow beyond what you thought possible. To turn away from these reflections is to miss the gift, to retreat into comfort instead of transformation. To embrace them is to honor the depth of love's purpose, which is not just to bring pleasure, but to guide you toward a fuller expression of your being. When seen in this light, true love is not merely an emotional state, but a path. It is a process of discovery, reflection, and transformation. The beloved is both your companion and your mirror, showing you where you have been blind, where you have been afraid, and where you have been longing for more. Their presence stirs the waters of your unconscious, bringing to the surface treasures you had not known were hidden there. In loving them, you begin to recognize yourself. In seeing yourself through them, you begin to understand the depth of love itself. This is why love feels both joyful and terrifying, both comforting and disruptive. It is not meant to leave you unchanged. The mirror it holds up is not a static image, but a living reflection, one that evolves as you evolve. In walking this path, you discover that love is not simply about finding the right person, but about being willing to see and be seen in the truest sense. It is in this act of mutual reflection that the soul expands and life gains a new dimension of meaning. True love is often mistaken for possession, for the desire to hold someone so tightly that they cannot move away. Many people confuse attachment with love, thinking that the more control they have, the deeper their bond must be. Yet genuine love does not reduce the beloved to an object of ownership. It is not about chaining another to one's will or demanding their constant attention. Real love is something entirely different. It is a union beyond ego, a meeting of two beings who are whole in themselves but choose to share their journey. It is not born from lack, but from abundance. It does not suffocate, it gives space. It does not diminish individuality, it preserves and honors it. When love is reduced to ego, it becomes a battlefield of needs and insecurities. One partner wants constant reassurance, while the other longs for freedom. One tries to mold the other into an image that suits their expectations, while the other resists. This dynamic breeds tension because ego fears loss. Ego cannot bear the idea that the other person may live, think, or grow outside of its control, but true love does not shrink into this pattern. Instead, it liberates. It recognizes that the greatest gift one can offer another is not control, but freedom. This freedom is not the absence of commitment, but the presence of trust. When two people truly love each other, they do not need to constantly prove their devotion. Their connection is strong enough to survive silence, distance, or even disagreement. They do not panic when the other needs space, for they understand that love is not weakened by individuality, it is strengthened by it. In such love, there is no need to demand constant affirmation because the bond itself is a living force that continues to grow as each person grows. The ego wants to possess because it is rooted in fear. It fears abandonment, rejection, and invisibility. But love beyond ego does not cling. It is a flame that burns steadily, not because it is forced, but because it is nourished by the presence of two free spirits choosing each other. This choice is what makes it sacred. If someone is bound to you by fear or control, their presence carries resentment. But if they stand beside you freely, with no chain but the bond of the heart, then what you share is enduring. In this union beyond ego, two people do not dissolve into each other to the point of losing themselves. They remain whole individuals with their own paths, dreams, and inner lives. Yet when they come together, their wholeness does not create separation, but harmony. It is as though two complete circles overlap, forming a union that expands both without erasing either. This is very different from the illusion of love that is built on dependency, where one person believes they are incomplete without the other. Dependency breeds fragility. True love breeds strength. The paradox of love is that the more freedom it gives, the deeper the connection becomes. When you know you are not being controlled or diminished, your heart opens more fully. You give more, not less, because you feel safe in your individuality. You know you are seen not as an object to be shaped, but as a soul to be honored. And in this recognition, your bond becomes unshakable. You do not stay because you have to. You stay because you want to. Every day becomes an act of renewed choice. Such love is not passive. It does not simply let the other drift without care. Rather, it carries profound responsibility, but not the kind imposed by fear. It is the responsibility of presence, of being fully alive to the connection, of nurturing it without smothering it. It is the responsibility of listening, of seeing the other in their truth, and of holding space for their growth, even when it challenges your comfort. This is a responsibility born not of control but of devotion. Union beyond ego also transforms conflict. In ego-based relationships, conflict becomes a weapon, a way to dominate or win. But in true love, conflict is not about victory, but about understanding. Disagreements are not threats to the bond, but invitations to deeper intimacy. Both partners can speak honestly, knowing that their individuality will not be punished but respected. Out of such honesty grows trust, and out of trust grows unshakable loyalty. There is also a mysterious quality to this kind of love. Because it transcends ego, it carries a sense of eternity. It feels larger than the individuals involved, as if it belongs to something greater than their personal desires. It carries an energy that nourishes both and expands outward, touching the lives of others as well. Those who encounter such a couple often feel the depth of their bond without words. There is an aura of peace around them, a quiet strength that speaks of something beyond the ordinary. Ultimately, love that goes beyond ego is an act of courage. It requires the courage to let go of control, to release the fear of loss, and to trust in the strength of the bond. It requires the courage to stand fully as yourself and to allow the other to do the same. Many people are not ready for such love because it asks for maturity, patience, and faith. Yet for those who are willing, it offers a freedom unlike any other. It is the freedom to love without fear, to give without calculation, to be together without chains. There are moments in human connection when words fall away, and yet something more powerful takes their place. Silence, often feared as emptiness, becomes in true love a presence that speaks more than any declaration could. In most relationships, people rely on constant reassurance through speech, gestures, or explanations. But in the depth of real love, silence itself becomes a language. It is not the silence of indifference or withdrawal, but a silence that holds weight, resonance, and energy. This silence carries meaning because it is charged with awareness. It is the kind of silence in which two souls are not merely coexisting, but communicating on a level beneath words. When two people share such a connection, they find that they do not need to fill every gap with conversation. There is comfort in simply being together, sitting side by side without pressure to impress or entertain. The absence of words does not signal distance but closeness, because it is only when you feel truly safe that you can allow silence to exist without anxiety. In such moments, the beloved becomes a presence rather than a performance. Their very being radiates into your own, and what is exchanged is not information, but essence. True love's silence is transformative because it awakens parts of us that ordinary interactions do not reach. In the stillness of that shared space, you begin to feel emotions rise that had been buried under noise. Memories surface, longings are stirred, unspoken truths make themselves known. Silence becomes a mirror for the soul, and in the presence of the beloved, it feels safe enough to let those hidden currents emerge. This is why such silence is never empty. It is alive, charged with the depth of what is unspoken, a current flowing beneath the surface of words. There is also a paradox in this kind of silence. On the one hand, it feels gentle, soft, almost tender. On the other, it can feel overwhelming because it reveals things that cannot be easily hidden. In silence, you cannot disguise yourself with talk. You cannot distract with arguments or charm. You are simply there, exposed in your presence. If the bond is true, this exposure becomes a pathway to intimacy. It creates a space where both individuals are seen not through the lens of performance, but through their essence. What remains is not who you pretend to be, but who you truly are. This silent resonance also extends beyond physical presence. You may find yourself thinking of the beloved and feeling their nearness even when they are far away. A certain quiet memory of them enters your mind uninvited, and you feel as though they are with you. This is not imagination, but the way deep love imprints itself into the unconscious. It carries energy that lingers, shaping thoughts, dreams, and emotions long after words have faded. The silence of true love is not bound by distance. It travels through the invisible corridors of the psyche. Many fear silence because it forces them to face themselves. In ordinary relationships, silence quickly becomes awkward, filled with unease, because the connection lacks depth. But in love that transforms, silence is not awkward but sacred. It allows both people to rest, to breathe, to simply exist without pressure. This is one of the signs that love has moved beyond superficiality. If you can sit with someone in silence and feel at peace, it is because your souls are aligned at a level deeper than speech. Such silence also carries the power to heal. In a world saturated with noise, distraction, and endless words, finding someone whose presence allows you to fall into stillness is profoundly restorative. It calms the nervous system, quiets the restless mind, and awakens the inner self. The beloved in silence becomes like a grounding force, anchoring you back to what is essential. Their stillness speaks to yours, reminding you that love is not about constant action, but about presence. In this presence lies a kind of medicine, a reminder that you are safe, held, and understood even without explanation. The transformative nature of silence in love is also tied to its mystery. Words often try to define, label, or explain, but silence resists definition. It holds the unknown, the ineffable, the dimensions of love that cannot be captured by speech. In silence you feel more than you can say, and what you feel shapes you. It is in these unspoken spaces that the deepest transformation occurs, because the soul is touched by something beyond the reach of reason. Silence makes room for the sacred, for the sense that love belongs not just to two individuals, but to something larger than themselves. There are moments when silence between lovers becomes more profound than any declaration of devotion. It may be in a simple glance, a shared pause, the quiet after laughter, or the stillness of lying beside one another. These moments become etched into memory, not because of what was said, but because of what was felt. The heart records them as truth, the kind of truth that cannot be undone by time. Silence becomes the imprint of love, a sign that what you share goes beyond the reach of language. This silence is not a void to be filled, but a fullness to be experienced. It carries the weight of presence, the resonance of two souls meeting beyond words. In a culture that often mistakes noise for connection, such silence feels rare, almost revolutionary. Yet it is here that love finds its most authentic expression. It is here that the beloved is felt not as an idea, not as a role, but as a presence that enters the deepest layers of the self. Through silence, love ceases to be something external and becomes an inner transformation, reshaping how you see, feel, and live. True love is not the fleeting rush of passion or the desperate grip of possession. It is a mirror that shows us who we are, a union that honors freedom, and a silence that transforms without speaking a word. It does not weaken us with dependency, but strengthens us with wholeness. It does not bind us with fear, but liberates us with trust. And in its quiet, steady presence, we discover not only another person, but also ourselves. To love in this way is to touch eternity, to step beyond illusion, and to awaken into the profound truth that love, in its purest form, is the soul recognizing itself in another,